Hello and welcome to the Pinstripe Post. I'm your host, Ryan Sampson. But on the other side, you see Tommy Hogan. We don't have Joel this week because Joel is in London. He was covering the Mets-Phillies series, the London series. He's taking the week off. But Tommy and I wanted to talk Yankees baseball with all of you. Tommy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I'm recovering from going to the game last night. It was a fun game. They avoided the sweep, Sunday Night Baseball, Luis Heel on the mound. It was a fun night.
Yeah, it was last night was the Yankees needed the win, right? And like you had told me you were going to go to the game and I was pumped about that for you, and then the way that Friday and Saturday went, it just was like, man, the Yankees need to get a win here, salvage something out of this series. And the biggest moment I think last night was definitely Trent Grisham. I mean, the fact that I'm sure you were part of it, chanting "We want Soto," because Juan Soto went down with the injury, and then Grisham just hits that home run right in all your faces and just says, "Take that." That was and then I don't know if you saw after the game, Aaron Judge in the dugout going, "They want who? They want who?" So it was pretty cool.
I saw his post-game press conference where he said he didn't like that very much, but I didn't see that he was doing stuff in the dugout. Hey, Trent Grisham showed the fans that he can do it as well as Juan Soto. So big homer. I think we probably would have opened today's show having a Trent Grisham conversation. I was ready to Friday night, all they have to do is get a bunt down and they win the series.
Right.
They win that game. They win last night. They win the series. Like that. If you're hitting under 100, you've got to get a bunt down. And so that was horrible, but he made up for it.
That was tough.
Horrible. You have to. You have to. And then Jahmai Jones doesn't tag up. I get it. Only one out. You've got the top of the order coming up, so you don't want to risk getting the out at third there. So I understand why he wasn't aggressive. He probably could have tried it. But Trent Grisham made up for it with the homer last night. He had 2 walks. Pretty good game. 5-hole Trent Grisham. Maybe that's the solution. Bat him in the 5-hole.
Maybe. I mean,
I hope not.
We did hear that, I guess Boone was saying that, he's hoping that Juan Soto can make his return to the lineup tonight against the Royals. They're in Kansas City, the Yankees. For Tommy, for first pitch here, let's start with this. There's this narrative out here, and I'm hearing it from Yankees fans on social media. I'm seeing it I'm hearing it also on sports radio. It's, the Yankees are having this great regular season, Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, MVP-like years. However, people are still hitting Yankees fans up and saying, you guys can't beat the good teams, the elite teams, the Dodgers, the Orioles, because let's be honest, this is the first series loss for the Yankees since that Baltimore series where they lost 3 out of 4 in Baltimore at the end of April, first week of May. So, Tommy, that's the question, I want us to talk about here is are the Yankees good enough to beat those elite teams? Because ultimately you could be seeing one of those elite teams late in the playoffs or ultimately in the World Series.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. No question they are. If we go back to that Baltimore series, Aaron Judge was still in the middle of the worst month of his career. And then you go to this LA series and Juan Soto isn't there. You're not getting – neither of those teams got what the New York Yankees are, the 2024 New York Yankees. I don't even count this Dodgers series, honestly. I don't count.
Really?
They weren't close. Like without Soto, this lineup is totally different. This is the 2023 Yankees without Juan Soto. We saw that. They need 1 run to win on Friday. 4-2 going into the 8th inning Saturday. Yes, the Dodgers pull away. It looks like a blowout, but it really wasn't. It was a much closer game. You had Volpe had a big at-bat with bases loaded. Giancarlo Stanton had a big at-bat, didn't get it done. Yes, those are guys in the lineup, but if Soto's in there, it changes up how that lineup looks. So, no, that is not something that's a narrative that I'm concerned about. It shouldn't be something that the Yankees fans should be concerned about, and it shouldn't be what fans of the Orioles and Dodgers should think. They should still be worried about the Yankees because what they saw are not what the Yankees will look like in the playoffs.
It's a good way of you putting it that way. The other thing I would counterpoint to that is and what you had just alluded to there, Volpe didn't come through, Giancarlo didn't come through, Verdugo didn't have a great series, I would say, this past weekend either. So, those are the guys you would hope come through. And like you said, this was the 2023, I would even say the 2022 Yankees, where it's Aaron Judge and no one else was really performing this weekend. I mean, Judge, again, another home run last night. He leads MLB in almost every offensive statistical category. He's, again, on pace for 58 home runs this year. It's insane the type of year he's having again. But that's where you like, all right, can those guys come through? And we're going to talk about this later and do up because I have something I want to address there, but the other guys in the lineup that aren't performing. But, it's definitely disappointing. I mean, Saturday stunk, to be honest with you. I wasn't thrilled with Nestor Cortes. Teoscar Hernandez took over this weekend. I mean, he just had a monster series this weekend, and I think he loves playing at Yankee Stadium, clearly, because, I'm sure the Yankees are happy he's not in the AL East anymore,
Right. Yeah. He was good in Toronto, and now he had a huge series. But like if Soto's in the lineup, Trent Grisham's not in the lineup on Friday, they win that game on Friday. They win the series if Soto's healthy. You win on Friday, you either score earlier than the 10th or 11th inning, and if not, someone else is in the lineup to get that bunt down Friday night, get the run over to third, and they win that game. You're a fly ball away, a hard ground ball away with the top of the order coming up. You win that game Friday, and maybe you win on Saturday too. Like, this series looks so different if Juan Soto plays in it. So I have no concerns at all.
Yeah, I think Yankees fans or at least the narrative in the national media is probably going to be pushing a lot about, beating the good teams, and we're not going to hear that. I mean, the Royals are good, by the way. The Yankees are facing a good Royals team. They're young, they're athletic. Bobby Witt's an MVP type player. It's going to be a tough series against the Royals. So you have your work set out for that. You go into Boston to play the Red Sox after that, and then next week is the big one: Baltimore and Atlanta. You're facing two of the perennial World Series contenders, and that's back-to-back series. It's going to be awesome baseball to watch. Superstars against superstars. You're hoping Juan Soto. I mean, he's supposed to come back tonight, but that for me is going to be the real test, is seeing how they get through these next 2 weeks and what their record comes out. And now prove to me, like, hey, you could you play with the big boys and not just beat up on the bad teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, to me, they haven't beat up on the bad teams. They have some, like, they've beat Tampa. They're a decent team.
When Tampa wasn't fully healthy,
Sure, they dominate Minnesota. That's every year. They're a decent team.
They've beaten up on the Astros this year.
Right. What teams are good in the AL? Like, Seattle's good. They're a lot better than they were when they played the Yankees a month ago. But, like, what teams are there in the AL? It's Baltimore, and they haven't seen them for now a month and a half, and they didn't see them when they were full strength, when Aaron Judge was, like I said, in the middle of the worst month of his career. So, next week is going to be the test. If you get Soto back, and then you're playing with the team that you will see and you will be in the playoffs, then we can start valuing that. But really, the only value I get from this is, like, Luisio, strong outing for the Dodgers. Sure, it was the worst start he's had in.
But you take that. You take that, though.
But you'll take 5 2/3, 3 runs, no question. Nestor, I know we don't love it, but 4 runs, right?
I know. It just
was it 4 1/3 though. Like, it was on. Yeah, he didn't give you much length, but it wasn't like this horrible start. Like, it wasn't terrible. And then Cody Poteet, you got everything you can ask.
He was great Friday night.
Great. He matched everything Yamamoto was. So that is, if I were to take anything from this series, I'm taking that, and I'm probably taking Judge. Judge is hitting everything right now. It wasn't just he's beating up on the bad teams; he's hitting the Dodgers too. Like, he's a one-man wrecking crew without Soto right now. So that's really where you start taking the individual things rather than this whole series, because without Juan Soto, this isn't the Yankees. This isn't the 2024 Yankees.
I would agree. Tommy, I want to transition to do up, right? So we're going to list 3 things here. The 3 things I asked you to think about here are 3 players you're down on this week, because I know I have my 3, but I want to hear what your are first, and then I'll react and I'll give you mine.
My first one, and might shock you, is Trent Grisham. I know we had last night's game, but without last night's game, we were going to have a series. Like, it was time to have a conversation about Trent Grisham. If you're in a bat under 100, you've got to get that bunt down Friday night. Like, if he didn't have he's not on the playoff roster. He shouldn't be. It was time to, like, start talking about, should he be on the roster at all right now? Because you can't have that. You have to bring some sort of value if you're going to hit under 100. I know he's got a great glove, but so does Jason Dominguez. He would be fine out there too in center field.
He's not playing every day, though. That's what Boone said. He has to play every day.
I get it. And I agree with that. But if you're going to cost a game against the Dodgers by not being able to get a bunt down, it's time to start talking about it. And he had last night. He recovered from it, so he's still on the roster in my mind. But it was getting ugly. It was getting ugly for him. He was coming up to bat, and people were chanting, "We want Soto."
You were one of them.
And I was one of them. And he quieted us right down. But still, he's getting close. Like, if Soto doesn't play tonight, and you still see Trent Grisham in the lineup, and he has another few bad games, it's time to start talking about what value does he actually bring to this team.
Okay.
We're going rip all three.
Yeah, I want you to rip all three. I want to hear all three, bud.
It's got to be Rizzo as well. Rizzo's got to be another one. I'm glad that they're giving him a couple of days off because he needs a bit of a reset right now. I don't think it's the stuff from last year. I don't. Now maybe I'm wrong because it's a lingering thing. It clearly affected him for a month or two after the injury last year. But he came into this season looking a lot better. I know he started slow. Then he had about 2.5 weeks where he looked pretty good. And you're like, okay, we got Rizzo back. And now it's all of a sudden turned back up. One for like 25 or something like that in the month of June.
Yep.
The right time to give him 2 days off. But the Yankees need him. And this kind of goes into a bigger conversation. But the guy that the Yankees have so far been connected to the most for the trade deadline is Ryan McMahon. And I know he's having a great year in Colorado, but those stats are obviously inflated a bit being Colorado. My thought is if this Anthony Rizzo continues to the playoffs, they trade for Ryan McMahon. Who are you trusting in a big at-bat in October? Are you trusting Anthony Rizzo or are you trusting Ryan McMahon?
You're trusting Anthony Rizzo because he's been there, done that, and he chokes up on 2 strikes, and he's going to try and get you contact. He's not going to pull the ball.
Exactly. I still want Anthony Rizzo at the plate. So I don't know if trading for Ryan McMahon, whether that solves anything or even makes sense for the Yankees. I don't get that connection so far. But that's a bigger conversation that we can have down the road closer to the trade deadline. I guess another guy that I would have has got to be Gleyber Torres, right?
Okay.
Didn't do well from the plate and had a few errors out in the field again.
Friday night was brutal.
Yeah, drops a nonchalant pop-up. He had another error Saturday that cost them a run.
Did you hear Boone's explanation on Friday night for that one too, for Gleyber's nonchalant drop?
He does. I mean, that is how he looks. That is what he does. And he does catch them.
But that's BS, man. Like, you're a professional. I understand you have swagger to play like that, but it catch it. If you're gonna play with swagger like that, catch it. You know what I mean? Like that's where.
And that's what Boone was saying. I understand. He even said, I understand it looks bad out there, but he had been getting the job done. Like, he is a pretty good pop-up guy. Like, going over the shoulder, he's never had really an issue, and it's always looked like that. It's always looked just like
he's a Gold Glove defender when he wants to be focused. Sure. I think that's what it is. The focus of Gleyber Torres. Like, it feels like sometimes when he makes these plays, it's like, where's your head at? Are you in the game right now? Are you just like not there? Which is, I don't know, like maybe a sports science mental part of the aspect of the game he's not understanding, but because I've seen him make spectacular plays that no other second baseman can make or few can. But then he has those plays and you're like, dude,
he does check out. It's weird. He does. Absolutely. He'll just he'll check out, and there's that saying in baseball, the ball finds you. And it's like, for that inning that he is checked out of it, the ball is finding him and it looks ugly. So that would be my other guy, and he's not doing anything from the plate either. This was a series without Juan Soto. You need a guy like Gleyber Torres who's moving up in the order without Soto. You need a guy like Anthony Rizzo to step up, and neither of those guys did, and that's why it looked ugly Friday and Saturday night.
I would agree, Tommy. So I have Rizzo as number 1 for me. Rizzo's, like you point, 1 for 29, brutal start to June.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have an answer here. I think they're starting to get a little concerned with him. The defensive problems he's had already this year. I mean, it's just he looks slow and unathletic, and he looks like he's old. He looks like an older player. Yeah,
the pop isn't in as bad. The defense, I'll say the defense, there was I think it was the first month of the year, or maybe first couple of weeks, it was like, okay, what is going on here with the defense? That has gotten better. You haven't really seen that lately. I guess he had to play out in LA against the Angels. That cost them the game. Clay Holmes ended up blowing that one. That would have ended it. I think it was the 8th inning. But that was a big play. But the defense, I think, has been better. But, yeah, like, he doesn't have the pop in his bat. Like, it's hard for him to get it out of the infield right now, it feels like. It's even, like, when he chokes up with 2 strikes and he likes to go to left center field and hit a little blooper over the shortstop's head, even that, like, even if he's getting over his head, it's still not looking like a line drive. It's looking more like just a bloop that finds some green grass out there. Yeah, it's bad, but I do think also that there's in-house answers. Like, obviously, you can move DJ to first.
Correct.
Then you've got Peraza that can play third. You got Cabrera that can play third. The Ryan McMahon stuff just hasn't made much sense.
I haven't heard that much, the Ryan McMahon stuff. I mean, it's an interesting name. I just, like you said, his numbers are inflated playing in Colorado, obviously. And to your point, when you get into the crunch time, are you really going to trust a guy like him to have those playoff at bats?
Passan said it this week. Passan, that was the guy that Passan
Okay.
had a trade deadline article come out, and that was the one guy he said for the Yankees was Ryan McMahon.
All right. I mean, I don't hate it. The other thing I saw was Augustin Ramirez, the kid who's lighting it up in Double-A. I saw he's taking first base. Defensive. I mean, listen, I think they're just trying everything they can.
Sure.
Just to, whether it's in-house or out-of-house. They're looking at both. I mean, I don't know. Is it in-house, like you said, solution? You move DJ to first. He's the other guy I'm down on this week. I'm down on DJ LeMahieu. Since his return, it's not been great. Offensively, he has not been the DJ LeMahieu we remember. Even the second half of last year where he was good, he's not been that. I don't know if he's still dealing with a foot injury. But again, he looks like another player. And I know a lot of people a lot of Yankees fans on social media were the same way. Like, we got two old guys who are just eating at bats in the lineup and are not producing at all in Rizzo and LeMahieu. So I'm down on both of those guys. Those are your corner infielders. They're just not giving you power production that you want from your corner infielders at all. It's been your outfield that's been carrying you, and Anthony Volpe, obviously. So I'm down on LeMahieu. He doesn't look like LeMahieu.
Yeah, I mean, he was never going to be the power guy. I get it. You want power from the corner infield, but that wasn't what you were going to expect from him.
I know, but he's not even hitting for average though. No. He's doing nothing.
The reason he's not in my top three, it's still early. It's what is it, 25, 30? Yeah, 2 weeks, 30 at bats in. Like, it's still early for DJ. I'm not. He gets another week or two, and then it's like, okay, we're a month into this, coming back from injury. Now we got to reassess what's going on. But it's still early. He can still find his way to get going. But yeah, with the Soto,
look at Oswaldo Cabrera comes in last night. It's a home run.
I get it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was a big homer right off the foul pole right field. It was 0-0. But it's still early in DJ coming back from injury, so he's not in my top three just yet.
And then my third is, we touched on a little bit earlier, Nestor Cortes. He's not the best. He's the worst starting pitcher in the lineup, in the rotation right now. He's not producing to what all-star Nestor was 2 years ago. He's still solid. I'll give him credit. Like, he's a good 4 or 5 right now. But compared to what you're getting from Luis Gil, Marcus Stroman, Carlos Rodon, Nestor Cortes is who I'm down on. I mean, Cody Petit pitched better than him this weekend. So, and I understand you're going to give Nestor a lot of leniency. I just wonder, because there's that guy named Garrett Cole coming back who just made another awesome start in Double-A, right? Somerset still again. He looks ready. He sounds ready. I think they're going to call him up in probably the next week or so, maybe in that Baltimore series. I don't know, or they do it earlier. So do you flirt with the idea? Nestor Cortes originally came from the bullpen. I'm just saying, he originally came from the bullpen before he was a starter for the Yanks. He could be your long relief guy. And he's been the worst starting pitcher of the 5 in your starting rotation. I know Cody Petit is probably going to go back down when Garrett Cole. I'm just throwing it out there, though, because in my opinion, when it comes to the playoff time, Nestor Cortes is not in my starting rotation. I'm sorry, but he's not.
Yeah, that might be the case. But are you saying that they should think about keeping Petit in for when Cole comes back?
I don't know. I mean, it's going to be solved because Poteet is most likely coming down. But I'm just saying, when you get, like, say if Clark Schmidt comes back, I'm looking even further. I just don't know if Nestor Cortes is going to be one of those 5.
Now, that might be the case when Clark Schmidt comes back. Then there's a real conversation. My concern would be, I don't think Clark's coming back till August, September maybe. Like, it's going to be a while. Yeah, it's going to be a while for Clark to come back. So my thought would be, like, it might make the most sense for him to go in the bullpen. Like, especially if he's going to have to build up, depending on when he's actually ready to start throwing, do you have enough time to build him back up to be a starter? Or do you just build him back to give you 2 innings? He comes back 2-3 weeks earlier than he would if you have to build him back to be a starter, and then you get a pretty good bullpen weapon. Now, if Nestor isn't – if he gets even worse, then maybe you say, okay, we have to get him out of the rotation. Let's build Clark up, make him a starter, and then we can take him out. But the thing with Nestor, the weird thing is right now, and Boone answered it and said that this isn't an issue for him yet, it's the home versus road splits. Like, he's got I think around like a 6.5 ERA on the road, and now it's gone up since his start on Saturday. But he had like a 1.2 ERA at home. It was the biggest difference in all of baseball, home versus away. But if he can get those road splits back down, which you would think they are, like those are crazy splits. You would think those would start evening out, and that should make him be a guy that you are okay with being in the rotation. But if not, yeah, I think they're. But like I said, that conversation's all like Clark's out for a while.
I know. I know I'm being hard on Nestor Cortes, and I'm being nitpicky here a little bit, but while Gleyber Torres is a great choice from you, Trent Grisham, he hasn't played as much until now, so that I can understand why he had a brutal weekend until
Got to
Sunday.
get that bunt down. That's going to haunt me for a while. That's horrible. The game was right there. You get a 0 in the 10th inning in extra innings with the Manfred man on second base. You've got to win that game. You have to. You have to win that game, and it was in his hands. Put a bunt down, and I get it. With 2 strikes, he ends up hitting a pretty deep fly ball, so he thought he still got the job done, but it wasn't deep enough. Jason Hayward's got a great arm. Jahmai Jones is in a burner at second base. He did not get – he had 2 chances to get the job done, win that game for the Yankees, and he couldn't do it. Now, he did it on Sunday, but he could not do it on Friday.
Yep. No, I agree. It's just those are my 3. That's why I'm going with that. But, Tommy, let's switch over to Radio Rational. It feels like we've been all irrational takes all show.
No,
Joel would shit on us if he was here right now. It's okay. He might be mad at us after he sees this episode anyway. But anyway, Radio Rational. We talked about it a little bit. Juan Soto. My Radio Rational take right now is the Yankees are not winning a World Series or even making a World Series if Juan Soto is not healthy and playing every day on this team. Radio Rational.
Very rational. I think Brian Cashman would tell you that. That's why they got Juan Soto. They knew this was the guy that would put him over the top. We saw it this week. You played a team that one of 2-3 teams that you probably will see in the World Series if you get that far. And we saw that the offense just can't do it without him. He changes everything. He changes not only the lineup, but he changes the dynamics of the energy around the team. He was having fun with Garrett Cole Saturday night, but that was like that. That's all he could. He could only have fun with the guy that's getting interviewed on TV that's also hurt. Like he couldn't have fun with the rest of his teammates that are trying to win. So that's the sort of energy he brings when he's in the lineup. He's keeping it loose. He's having fun. He goes up there and hits shots into the bleachers in right field. Like, yes, it's very rational. They need Juan Soto in order to win a World Series. And I think it was last week's episode, or the week before, Judge or Soto. I think we saw our answer this week. Because for the first month, we saw what it looks like without Aaron Judge, and it didn't look as bad as it did against
Wow. Okay.
Now, maybe it was because it was for a month versus
a 3-game series.
Sure. But in my mind, I think we might have saw that answer. That offense is different when Juan Soto is not. And sure, the Yankees they did get shut out 6 times in April, so maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm overreacting, and that could definitely be the case. And it was a better opponent in LA rather than a month of playing whoever you want to say in the AL that stinks. The AL is not very good this year. But I think in my mind, I think we saw that Juan Soto, like this team is different without Juan Soto. And that's why they traded him for this year. They knew it. For the last few years, we saw what this lineup looked like without Juan Soto and what it looked like with Aaron Judge. And it wasn't a World Series team. Now you add the two together and it's a World Series team.
Yeah, I agree to an extent with like Juan Soto makes such an impact, but we have to keep harping on the fact that you're getting absolutely nothing from Gleyber Torres, Anthony Rizzo, and DJ LeMahieu. That's a third of your lineup that's not producing at all, And Aaron, like you said, Aaron Judge can be superstar Aaron Judge all he wants, but if he's the only one producing, Giancarlo Stanton will hit an occasional home run every once in a while, but he's not consistent like Aaron Judge. And Verdugo, he's not going to – he comes up with, I think, big at bats out of nowhere, and he's going to play Gold Glove left field defense for you. I just third of the lineup's not producing right now, so I wonder if that's got a bigger impact on this team. And we're not addressing those underlying issues here a little bit because we are so focused on the wow factor of Judge and Soto and how well they've been for this. They are carrying the team. Those two are carrying this team. But
Volpe's in there too. Like Stanton has been good. Volpe's been good. For a bit, you were getting stuff from Gleyber. Like he was hitting 280 over the last 30 games or something. Like he had chipped away to what it was looking like, and then it slowed down the series against LA. But I mean, you need Juan Soto in this line. It's also the lefty stuff. Like you're going to face a ton of righties. Aaron Judge, that low and away slider is going to hurt him. It always will. That's just how it is against a tall right-handed power hitter. Soto's able to neutralize that.
Yeah.
So it kind of has that sort of thing to it too. Of being a left-handed hitter, you've got more of an advantage in because you're going to face more righties.
Yep. No, I agree. Last thing with the Soto, are you concerned at all with the injury? Like, are you just going to be nervous the rest of this, like, what, year? Or are
Yes.
you just going to be like, nah, he's healthy, he looks good
No.
when he hits his first home run back?
I'm glad you brought this up because I was spiraling Friday night. You heard this. I was.
Yeah.
It was bad. I
spiraling Thursday night. You were spiraling Thursday night when it came
Thursday
down.
night. Yeah, sorry, Thursday night. It was because that's the injury, Ryan. It starts up as forearm discomfort. They check the elbow, and the elbow's torn. It's what we saw with Dominguez. It's what you see with pitchers. It's what we thought we were going to see with Garrett Cole in March. Now the two super guys out there in Soto and Garrett Cole, the super freak athletes, their elbows aren't torn when this happens. That's just how
there is forearm discomfort. I mean, it's because, like you say, it's such a baseball injury, the forearm, and it's so connected to what happens in the elbow. So you get concerned. Holy shit, we're about to see a Tommy John for Juan Soto. The season's over, right? Because we just talked about what he does for this team. I think it really is just forearm discomfort. Like, he probably just strained something in his forearm. The concern, and I wonder if the doctors are telling him this, and I'm sure they are. If you keep pushing it on this forearm, that's what's going to lead to the elbow issues, because your arm starts compensating from what your forearm is doing, right?
Yes.
You know, he had said on Thursday night after the game when he was pulled during that middle of that rain delay, he had said after the game, he said, you know, I don't feel it when I'm batting. I don't feel it when I'm throwing the baseball. It's just when I'm just standing around doing nothing is when all of a sudden I feel that discomfort. That to me is concerning, and that always raises like a red flag for me. I mean, there's the question, and I know you posed it on Thursday, which is interesting. Just IL him, give him an IL stint, so that way he has a full week off, you know, from doing any baseball activities, and just, you know, rehab, rest, and get that forearm healthy. You know, he did a full pregame warm up yesterday before the game. That's what Boone said.
Yeah, selfishly, at being at the game yesterday, I was chanting, "We want Soto," but really, if I was able to step back. No, I didn't want to see Soto last night because it feels too early. How do you go from being a decoy on Friday night to not being available Saturdays? It felt like less of a decoy, and they never really had that. They were down the whole game, so never really – he probably would have been, but it was never really an opportunity to then being in the lineup tonight. I think that they should just IL him, be out for the 2 weeks, get that inflammation down, and then come back. They have that. It also was why I brought up with Garrett Cole last week of how they were saying maybe they get him up a start earlier and make his rehab start of 90 pitches.
That's what Joel said. Said. He goes, don't be surprised if he comes up for that start that gets him to 90 pitches.
When you start the way the Yankees have started, being 25 games over 500, you don't need to do that. You've afforded yourself to take it slow with injuries. You don't need to rush. You don't need to steal a start from Garrett Cole. You don't need to steal a week from Juan Soto. Keep them out and make sure that they're ready in October. So if he plays tonight, I don't think we're in the clear. It's concerning to me. The inflammation can come back. You can come back too early from it, and it still affect you, but still feel good. We are not in the clear if we see Juan Soto tonight. We're probably not in the clear if they IL him and we see him in 2 weeks.
I was just about to say, would it shock you if tonight they decide to pull him and not put him in the game and hey, give you another couple days here, just rest up, you know?
I hope they do. Now, it's bad that they keep it will draw up red flags to Yankee fans because they said yesterday he'll probably play didn't they say he'll probably play tonight?
Yep.
So if he's not in the lineup tonight, then it'll be red flag.
It's going to be more concerning.
Right. I wish they hadn't said he'll probably play tomorrow when it's such a day-by-day thing for him. He felt really good yesterday, but he might not feel good today. So then if he doesn't, it's going to draw the red flags. They should be a little bit more quiet about it. I think they should just put him on the IL, but it's Juan Soto who has played in – he's a guy that plays every day. He wants to be in there every day. It seemed like he wanted to be in there on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
The Yankees had to be like, no, we're not doing this. And it's the same thing with Garrett Cole. He probably is ready to come up, but the Yankees have to be smart about it. When you're this good and you have been this good to start the season, you have to be slow with these injuries to make sure that down the road they're good to go because you don't need them right now.
I hear you, but if these guys are both like ready to contribute, even if they, they're not 100%, maybe they're 90, 95%, they're both gonna be like, yep, put me in. I know you're shaking your head, but that's who they are. They're premier athletes that are like, give me the ball. I want to go. Like, I'm ready to go. So it's going to be a tough decision for Boone, Cashman, the whole injuries, the doctors and trainers, I'm sure all going to be like, let's play this smart. But at the same time, if these guys are both like, nah, give me the fucking ball, I'm ready to go. That's what's going to happen. Like they're going to, it would not shock me tonight if Soto gets pulled and like, hey, we're not playing you tonight, or he ends up playing tonight, like Tommy said. And then me and him are both going to be nervous, Rex, watching the entire game, making sure he doesn't get pulled at all in that game.
Like, how does he go from he didn't swing at all Friday and Saturday. They said he did not swing at all.
Which I don't believe, because he there was no way he was being a decoy up on the top step. He looked like he was in the back below.
I think he was into it. I think he was playing it up.
All right.
I think he was. You're right. He took off his warm up.
I thought he was taking dry swings or hacks, or at least in the batting cage below the dugout. Like he's over there doing that, warming up.
It's definitely how it looked. I just think he's a performer. Like he's a guy that I think he was out there performing. I think the Yankees said because that sort of thing can affect bullpen decisions. Like they might bring in a lefty to try to keep Soto to not come up, and now you got DJ Glaber, you got some guys at the bottom of the order facing a left. Like Trevino crushes lefties, so that could help him. So I think they were playing that up a bit. But how do you go from not swinging Friday, Saturday? He took some swings last night, said he felt really good, to then being in the lineup. Like that feels like way too much of a build, like too quick of a buildup. Maybe it's just a pinch hit. You get one at bat tonight, pinch hit in a big spot late.
Again,
and I think that might have been the case last night. I honestly think that they might have been thinking about it, and they never needed to, which is a good thing. But it just feels like way too quick of a ramp up.
Yeah, the other thing I would say is that, let's not forget he was playing with this injury for a couple of weeks. He said, I felt this now for like 2 weeks, and he's been playing through it, and he's still hitting bombs, he's still hitting doubles. Like,
I get it.
So if he's like this, and this is just gonna be a pain management thing, and eventually it'll heal up the inflammation, I don't know. I don't know.
Get it. To me, though, that sounds a lot like Jason Dominguez last year. He played 8 games with the Yankees last season. He had felt it for a couple of days. He felt it in Houston when he hit a home run off Justin Verlander in his first game to the opposite field. I think he felt it then. He said he had felt it for a bit.
And then Boone said he woke up one day taking hacks in the warm-up cage, and then he's like, I have no pop off my bat. I can't swing.
All of a sudden, you couldn't do it. Now, it might have been on like a single swing where all of a sudden it was gone.
Great. Now I'm nervous again about Juan Soto.
I'm telling you, it's going to be something we're going to be nervous about, I think, for the rest of the year until he says, like, yeah, I feel great.
Which I don't think he'll ever do. It's going to be like I feel like it's going to be like the Aaron Judge thing. Like, I'm dealing with this the rest of my career. It's like,
or he's going to always do and always say he feels great. And you'll know, like, he just might, because he's a guy that wants to be in the lineup every single day.
Right.
So you just might not get the truth from him. And so they've got to be smart. I would be team put him on the IL, make sure he's out 2 weeks, and he can't talk
2 weeks, or would you retroactive him from the last 3 days and then you have him for the Baltimore series?
Sure. Whatever it is. Yeah, you would retroactive it, give you the 3 extra days off. But yeah, whatever it is. Keep whatever is it 10 or 15? I know they've changed that. Is the pitchers 50? Whatever it is, 10, 15, I put him on that.
It's 10 for position players, 15 for pitchers.
There you go. Put him on the 10-day IL. He's out for the next week now.
Yeah, he's out for the Red Sox. He's out for the Royals. And then you got him for Baltimore series. It wouldn't be a bad idea.
That way he can't talk you out. He's going to try to talk every night now. He's going to try to talk you into being in that lineup. You do that, he can't.
Yeah,
that's how I would be.
The bigger discussion is, too, for him is he's got his huge free agent payday coming up this offseason. But you understand, like, it doesn't matter. Like, he's fine. Like, he's going to get a monster contract either way. But if you do end up effing up your elbow, like, that's going to hurt that team for the first year, whoever's signing you. Like, it's like, well, fuck, man. Like,
I don't know if I don't know if that changes it. I would be interested to hear what Joel has to say about that. If it'll affect, because I don't really think it will. Obviously,
I'm not saying it'll affect his payday, but it sucks for the team that's signing him. It's like you might lose him for the first year.
Right. It's something to consider. I don't know if you lose him for the first, like Dominguez is already ready to come back. He might be ready if it happens soon, and I'm not even going to say the word, but if it happens within the next few weeks, he'd probably be ready to go by April. I think he'd be ready to go for the start of the season. Jason Dominguez did it in September last year, and he was rehabbing in April
How about
or
that
May.
kid? That kid's tearing up AAA.
Tearing it up. That's why when you see Trent Grisham not get a bunt down on Friday, and you see this guy,
I'm not arguing the player Trent Grisham versus Jason
Right,
Dominguez. We all know who's better, but what I would say is, again, and Boone said it last night, the kid
You're
needs
right.
to play every day. And Verdugo's a Gold Glove left fielder. I'm not taking him out of left field. Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge. And Juan Soto, when he comes back, he's going to be in right field every day. So you really don't have a position for him unless, again, an injury happens to like a Giancarlo Stanton where your DH spot opens up. That's the only time I could see Jason Dominguez coming up from AAA to the bigs.
Can we end the episode throwing out a hot take that Joel wouldn't like?
Yes, but do you want to do Hogan Analytics first, and then we can get to that?
Sure.
Okay.
We can do that.
Let's go to Hogan Analytics. We saw this last night after the game. It's about the starting rotation. Go ahead, Tommy.
Yes. So Yankees win-loss record. This was tweeted out by Jeff Passan. In games started by Cody Poteet, they're 2-1. Nestor Cortes, 6-8. Clark Schmidt, 8-3. Marcus Stroman, 9-4. Carlos Rodon, 10-3. Luis Hill, 11-2. So it goes back to your point about Nestor. Now, pitcher wins and losses, they don't do much.
A BS stat.
Right, and this is the team's record in those games, so it's a little bit different. But like at the end of the day, like it's not all on the pitcher. For like they could have blown that game after the pitcher was out, so that doesn't do too much for me. But I guess it's more so the fact that every other pitcher around Nestor has a winning record besides him. I guess you can take something from that.
Yeah, I think it was definitely an eye-opening stat for me a little bit. Is that who's getting the ball. Are they winning these games? And for Nestor, they're under 500. He hasn't been 2022 Nestor, right? Hasn't been that. So
still been good.
He's still been good.
3.6 probably up to 3.7 after the start on Saturday. It was 3.4 going into Saturday.
I'm not saying anything's going to happen. We talked about it before. You talked me off the ledge a little bit. He's not getting pulled from the rotation when Garrett Cole comes back in the next week or so. It's just, I do wonder, do they look to upgrade even over Nestor by the trade deadline? Maybe that's another avenue to look at. I'm just saying. And now you have a real good lefty in the bullpen with Nestor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if his stuff doesn't translate as well to the bullpen as, let's say, Luis Hill, Clark Schmidt.
You can't pull Luis Hill out of the rotation right now. He's your best starting pitcher.
Not right now. But I don't think that's don't be shocked if that happens.
I'm going to be pissed off when they take him out of the rotation.
Is there a better reliever on the market that the Yankees could trade for than Luis Hill?
Yeah, Joel, give us a name. When there'll be some no name that you have no idea, and I've never heard of this guy before, and he comes in, he starts throwing gas, and then he's the best reliever they've got.
I don't know if that's. I don't know.
You didn't know Clay Holmes' name, but a couple years ago.
Sure, it took a few years for Clay Holmes to build up to who he is now. It didn't. You're not trading for a guy.
Wandy Peralta wasn't as good as he was before they traded for him.
Yeah, I get it, but it takes a little bit to build up, and you have to build up that trust. Like the Yankees can't trade for in July a guy that they're going to trust at big outs in September and October. It took Clay Holmes till the next year to finally be like, all right, this is a guy that we can trust in the 8th, 9th inning. He looked good, but he's still getting 6th, 7th inning outs.
Don't forget, you're also getting Scott Efros back here soon too.
Sure, I get it. Yeah,
by July at the end of July he'll be your trade acquisition for the bullpen.
I'm just saying, I don't think that besides Mason Miller, there's probably not a reliever out there on the market that the Yankees can say, you're getting the 8th inning like they would do with Luis Hill. And he would probably get the 7th and the 8th inning. That's quite the weapon. You got Luke Weaver who can do 2 innings like that. Then you bring back a guy like Efros. It's not out of the. I agree with you that it shouldn't happen.
I'd rather have Luis Hill start the game, man.
I agree with you.
Take the ball and give me 5-6 strong innings.
He might be their game 2 starter. You'd probably pencil him in as your game 2 starter as of right now. But I think it's something that the Yankees are still weighing because there's probably not a reliever on the market that would do. He'd start pitching over 100 miles an hour. That velocity would look even more special out of the pen.
I agree. Joel will be killing us right now. He'd be killing me right now with the Nestor Cortes stuff. Because he's like, Ryan, who'd you sign up for? A starter like Nestor Cortes is your 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think he would actually agree with that, Luis Hill, that we're not. That's something to ask him next week. I don't think we're totally out of the woods of him being pulled from the rotation.
Yeah, it's
The inning stuff is still a concern.
Yep, the inning stuff. All right, Tommy, give me your hot take. Let me hear it.
Juan Soto going to be wearing a first baseman's glove soon.
No,
we're going to see him taking ground balls before a game soon.
I can say that's with 100% not happening. You want to know why?
Why?
Because as soon as you go to first base, your value goes immediately down. Because think about Pete Alonso is about to be a free agent. You've seen the contract Freddie Freeman got. You see the contract Matt Olson got. You see the contract Anthony Rizzo got. Top first baseman Paul Goldschmidt. Top first basemen do not make nearly as much as an outfielder. It's just different positional value wise. I understand his bat is so special, but let's not be pretenders here or like bullshit each other. Freddie Freeman was an MVP candidate last year. The guy is an unreal player. I mean, you cannot tell me Matt Olson had 60 home runs last year almost. So again, these guys aren't getting paid as first baseman. There's no way Scott Boras is like, yeah, you should start taking take a first baseman glove, just because it's not going to do well for you, because the team's going to look like, we don't pay first baseman like that.
None of those guys are Juan Soto. None of those guys you named are Juan Soto. The Freddie Freeman one is the closest, and he was about 8 years older than Juan Soto when he hit the free agent market. 7 years older. That's why that one's a little different. Now, the reason I say, and it might not be permanent, but the alternative would be like, he's doing whatever his team needs to win. You've got a superstar that is willing to move positions because he knows it's for the better of the team. There's value in that. And also, it doesn't have to be permanent, but for this year, the Yankees need a first baseman. They've got an outfielder that they need to make room for, because that guy can play in the playoffs.
So
that
you're
guy
doing this for Jason Dominguez. You're doing that move ultimately for Jason Dominguez to come up to the majors.
And I'm doing it for Juan Soto's arm. He doesn't have to throw a lot playing first base. You don't have to throw much. The farthest throw you're making is to second base for a double play. So it helps there. And yes, that's your best lineup. That would be your best lineup. And it's a lefty. Like, people are going to say Judge. The guy's playing center field. He's not going from center field to first base. Juan Soto is the most likely out of all those guys. Maybe Verdugo. We did hear earlier in the season that Verdugo is taking ground balls.
But he's playing Gold Glove left field. Why would you ever take him out of left field? You saw what happened when Judge went to left field on Friday night.
I agree.
Or is it Thursday night against the Twins?
I agree with you. That's why I want to do it either. But that's a guy that we've already heard has taken some ground balls at first base.
Why isn't Giancarlo Stanton playing the field? Why isn't he playing first base? That guy's getting paid $30 million a year to be a DH.
You don't want Giancarlo Stanton playing first base.
I'm just saying, like, you're being an athlete. You're built like a freaking Greek god.
He's not. You don't want him playing first base.
I'm not putting Juan Soto at first base. No, he's my right fielder. Sorry.
Okay. That's your best lineup.
I don't see it happening.
Maybe it doesn't, but I think the arm stuff makes them think about it even more.
No way. Who's approaching Juan Soto to say that to him? The superstar, your best player.
You want to win a World Series, Juan. You want to become a legend. You want to go into Monument Park. You want to add a second World Series to your resume. This is a way to do it.
Bless your heart, Tommy. I don't see that happening.
That's my hot take. You probably have the same answer as Joel, or maybe Joel would probably even come back with some fire, but that's my hot take to end an episode without him.
Yeah, he'd come back and say some shit to you right now. That's for sure. Tommy, that's a show. That's a Pinstripe Post. We're looking forward to being back with Joel next week. We got, like we said, we got the Royals starting tonight, then the Red Sox, which should be interesting, and then Monday off before they start that big 2 series against the Orioles and the Braves.
That'll be fun.
It'll be a lot of fun. We'll all be looking forward to seeing what happens with Juan Soto this week. Tommy, thank you, man.
Of course.